Welcome back to the Living.Fit show. We have another episode of what are we calling this? Bourbon, bells, and BSing with Jordan and Mike. I don't know. It doesn't have an official title yet, but I'm Jordan Kundi Wright, one of the Living.Fit master coaches, joined by my good friend Mike Silverman, also a Living.Fit master coach. Say hi, Mike.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? But Jordan, let's talk about something really important before we even get started in here. What's in your glass tonight?
In my glass tonight is this wonderful Penelope toasted barrel bourbon that I got from my brother for my 40th birthday. So it is an excellent, and it's cask strength. I did put an ice cube in it to open it up a little bit, but this is my one serving of bourbon that I'm gonna be able to have this week because it is 62% ABV. So it's coming in hot. Coming in hot.
Wow.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
How about you? What are you drinking?
So at the moment, I am enjoying a Redemption Rye out of the fine state of Indiana. And the fact that you got yours for when you turned 40 makes me laugh because 40 was adorable. I remember it. It was such a good time. Seems like it was easily a decade ago because, oh, that's right. It was easily a decade ago.
Well, that made me feel young, which I appreciate very, very much. So thank you for that.
Here for you, buddy. Here for you.
I know you are. That's great. So in this episode, we decided we're going to do something a little bit different than we did last time. Last time we pissed off some of the Pavel bros with the Turkish get-ups might be a little bit overrated for what they are. They might overpromise a little bit. We explained a little bit about what is kettlebell sport. If you haven't heard that episode, go check out that episode. But on this one, we decided we're going to go a different direction
and piss off absolutely everybody.
Yes. So off brand for us. We're just gonna go for global blanket of being upset with us. No, this time we're gonna go with some myth busting, some common myths that we hear around muscle in specific theme for the topic today. So let's get started with myth number 1. Muscle confusion.
What?
So first of all,
sorry, I couldn't hear you. My muscles were too confused.
My muscles were so confused by that movement. I tried to press record, but they were too confused. So Mike, I know this isn't.
I was just flipping somebody the bird.
I know this isn't your turn, but I'm going to ask you to define it anyways. I'm going to make you be the expert on muscle confusion. So what is muscle confusion purported to be?
All right. So the whole idea that we hear about by muscle confusion, I don't know. I started hearing about it probably 10 or 15 years ago, where everybody was largely of the mindset that by constantly varying your motions, and doing it in a crazy erratic way by confusing your muscles, they will get bigger, smarter, stronger, harder, better, faster, all the wonderful things. But what I think that they were sort of ham-handedly trying to say is that you were going to shift around the way that your neuromuscular facilitation happened, that your muscles learned things, and that they would adapt in a much more rapid way, and that they would get harder, better, faster, stronger again because they were confused and just didn't know what was going to come at them. So they would grow in every possible direction at massive strength. And it's sort of like the old GNC commercials where they would tell you that you would basically everything on the shelf was like legal steroids, right? So it was that kind of BS that you used to see.
I did get my first bottle of androstenedione at a GNC, I'm just going to say, which was basically a legal steroid back when, I was in high school and Mark McGuire was my hero.
I was actually in ATC at the time that was coming out, and the one guy that was on it basically just got really odd hair growth patterns.
Is that correlated to why I no longer have hair? I don't know. We'll just.
We're not talking about your palms, buddy. We're not talking about your palms.
Yeah, I think this really gained traction. What with P90X was really the infomercial, right? That took the world by storm, and they purported muscle confusion was the key to the gains that their program provided, which was really just like you said, a marketing term or a ham-handed way of talking about variants of load and variants of training methodology and variants of intensity. And so I will give them credit. One thing I will give them credit for, one thing that program actually did really well was appropriately undulate intensity throughout the week. They increased training frequency to 5-6 days a week because it was a 90-day progressive overload program that was actually fairly well structured, and it had some undulations built into it within the weeks. It had some periodization built into it over the course of 90 days. It had a ton of different exercises in it. But the idea that your muscles were confused by this, by not knowing what was coming next, would prevent plateaus. That was kind of the message that they were telling you, is like, oh, plateaus happen because your muscles know what's coming. So if you want to keep your gains going in perpetuity, you really need just to keep your muscles confused. They can never know what's coming, right? The idea
Yeah,
that
I'll tell you that unpredictability, man. My left delt is still in therapy for it.
yeah, if
It's
you have
got
a
trust issues now, man. It's just got trust issues.
yeah, that insecure attachment style. This is probably not the myth for you, right? If you have an insecure attachment style, we're not going to recommend muscle confusion. But it's really it's honestly it's complete marketing. It is total marketing. Variance is good, variability is good, especially if you have a personality type that's like a squirrel on a pixie stick. As I like to say about us ADHD people, it can be good if it increases your adherence to training. And obviously the idea that varying things and different movements and different styles, that there are some good sound principles there. You don't want to work in the same plane of motion, you don't want to work in the same pattern, you need to hit all the major patterns, but also you want to do it in a structured way that is predictable. And we all know that skill acquisition actually happens by repetition. So not the actual opposite of what they're saying. If you actually want to get strong, like when I was my strongest, guess what I did? I benched, I deadlifted, and I squatted because that's what my sport required. And I was trying to get as maximally strong as possible. So if you talk to a power lifter, they do those movements in different intensities and maybe some different variations, but we're not trying to confuse our muscles. We were trying to actually make the patterns very, very predictable so that your brain could learn, how do I move this super heavy weight in a predictable way, right? So the idea of muscle confusion does not align well with top level performance or adaptation or predictability. Are there really any benefits to that level of variability that they're talking about?
So I would tend to say, and this is one of the things that we actually see a lot in CrossFit, right? That really espouses that constantly varied kind of a model. But one of the things that you sort of see is that they've been often accused within CrossFit and also within certain similar training, cross training kind of modalities, that constantly varied sort of seems to be confused, if you will, with random. And it's very much not that at all. It's very, very programmed, but it is that sort of undulating periodicity. But the thing that sort of gets lost when you start talking about things like muscle confusion is that the muscles are going to move better. They are going to move more consistently. Your skill is going to get improved through efficiency, and that efficiency comes through repetition, through bringing that training pattern into a habitual movement. And it doesn't necessarily mean that every single day you have to do the exact same thing. Quite the contrary, right? You do need to be hitting things in multi-points. You do need to be hitting things in varying loads. You do need to be hitting things in varying levels of volume. But at the end of the day, people sort of use that marketing term of muscle confusion to mean just throw random crap into your workout and hope to God that you get swole. And it just doesn't happen, right? I mean, it's like you look around at people who are working the floor in the gym and they're just kind of wandering around aimlessly because they read whatever they saw from Instabud influencers that week and they're doing it. Oh my God, arm day.
Why are you sticking your butt out like that while you're doing tricep extensions?
Yes, exactly. Why do your pants seem to give you a wedgie on purpose and you paid $85 for them? But I'm totally going to wear a pair of Lulus in my next show. But
Well, they can't see you from the waist down. For all we know, you're wearing Gym Sharks right now.
How do you know I'm not?
Exactly.
Rawr.
I imagine what I want the world to be.
You know what, man? I'm going to date myself. It's remember the old juicy pants? It's that all over
Oh, yeah.
again.
Yeah, truth in advertising. I was all about that.
Yeah, I really pissed off a set of people when I had a set of them made up that said furry. Uh, embarrassed my kids because, it's like, again, truth in lending, man, you should know what you're buying.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so I think to wrap this myth up, we would say that there is validity to variability, and that does not mean randomness, right? So muscle confusion is not a thing. We don't want random things thrown at our muscles. We want variability, but in a way that is structured and predictable, so that we know it's getting the adaptations that we want, and that we're appropriately balancing load across opposing muscle groups and in the planes of motion necessary to ensure you're gaining where you want to be gaining, that you're preventing injuries and staying on track with your goals. And that requires what I call malice of forethought in your programming, not something that you just throw in a random workout generator and call it muscle confusion because you're a lazy trainer.
No, that's just malice of coaching.
Yeah, exactly. So muscle confusion, not a thing. Your muscles cannot actually get confused. All right.
They can,
Myth.
however, be traumatized and stop talking to you. And if you listen very quietly, you can still hear them weeping on the soft night.
Oh yeah. Um, myth number two. This is one that always kills me. Uh, women, women only, women get bulky from lifting weights. Myth number two: women get bulky from lifting weights. I don't know about you, Mike. Have you done an intentional bulking cycle in your training history where you've really focused on building muscle tissue
I
and have
have, and it didn't happen by accident because I lifted something that wasn't wrapped in neoprene.
yeah, I could say this one always makes me laugh because even as a man, and as a I would say above average sized man by genetics and birth, I still had to work really, really, really hard to get bigger. Between my sophomore year of high school and my junior year of high school, I went from 200 pounds to 260 pounds. Now I also hit a growth spurt, which was obviously helpful, but I also consumed roughly 4,000 to 6,000 calories a day. I was in the gym every day for 4 5 months at a time, basically doing different things, doing your typical bodybuilding split. But I was working really, really hard to try and put on that muscle mass. And I was lifting very heavy weights and sleeping and doing all of the things that were required to build new muscle tissue. The
Yeah,
idea that women are somehow going to magically start adding bulk because they're lifting weights is I don't know. It's so asinine. It makes me laugh. Like it's
I don't know.
hilarious.
I'm gonna stop you right there, man. One of my female lifters, she was 122 pounds, 5'8", right? So scrawny little thing. All right. She did one rep of a bench press that was 135. Holy shit, dude! She's in Mr. America in October. Boom, like one rep. I'm telling you, boom. Oh my god, it happened instantaneously.
Because of all of that heavy load.
Yes, because women cannot lift heavy without getting massive immediately, instantaneously. So, but I mean, in reality, right? I mean, come on. I'd say probably 75 or 80% of my clients are female, and I will tell you that biological women do not just like overnight suddenly get large because they started picking up bigger weights, right? It doesn't happen, right? The women that I have that have gotten bulky and that have put on some size have worked their ass off for it. They worked very, very hard for it. They did it very intentionally, and
Or
they did
work
it
their
very.
ass in on it because most women
Oh
actually want
yeah.
their ass to get bigger. And in order to do that, they have to squat heavy weight and do lunges and do Bulgarian split squats. Sidebar, why do Bulgarians squat like that?
I think again it's the trauma. Their muscles were confused. But no, I mean seriously, see, I train a lot of really really strong women, and a lot of these really really strong women just they work really, really hard to get that way. It doesn't happen like, oh, darn, I did 2 reps of something that was beyond a body pump weight. And the next thing you know, I'm like, freaking jacked and walking around in an IFPBB contest, right? It just doesn't happen. There's a couple of chemical things that are different that, physiologically going on, right? I mean, obviously, hematocrit levels and testosterone levels are much lower in women than they are in men, unless they're supplementing them either medically or for recreational purposes, right? I mean, let's acknowledge PEDs are out there,
Yeah, that's
but
their choice. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But don't think that you're going to
sure.
bulk up as a woman because by comparing yourself to a woman that's on PEDs, like
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
exogenous testosterone to help the process because it doesn't happen easily.
Yeah, she's like, "Hey, look how amazing I am. Oh, by the way, look at this shitload of trenodone that I just did." I mean, it's just not going to really happen by accident, right? They either work their ass off really hard in the gym, or they do PEDs and work their ass off really hard in the gym, right? It's not the free punch button easy ticket either, even if you're
And
on
eat
enhancements
and eat too.
and
Let's
eat a
not forget
lot.
about that.
They eat too, right? So you're not going to get the "oh my god, I'm so fat" 1,200 calorie diet bulking, right? It's just not going to happen either there, right? So the thing that's actually kind of fun is you see a lot of these kettlebell sport lifters, and the women dominate the sport. There's just no hiding it, right? For every like one really amazing guy, there's like four or five just kick ass women in
Yeah.
kettlebell sport.
Anytime I'm getting cocky, I remember there's a 16-year-old Russian girl that can lift more than me with the same weight.
Yeah, exactly, and not get sweaty while doing it. And it's just and then call you a suck. You call you weak and slow and fat and every other bad name out there. I mean, when they call
And
me
she's
that, I kind of like I
yeah,
sort
that's
of
funny.
acknowledge it, but whatever. Uh, but I mean, if you take a look at it, right? I mean, those sport women are phenomenally strong. They're not big. They're really not. Um, and like I said, even my strongest female lifters that are, I mean, like very high end CrossFit competitors, very high end power lifters, very high end Oli lifters, they're not big. I mean, you can tell she lifts. I mean, she worked really hard for that, but in general, they don't really get like
Yeah.
gigantic. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I can tell you anecdotally from a friend of mine that was a colleague at Urban Athlete, a gym I used to work at in Chicago. Nell
Hmm.
Lawrence, shout out to Nell. She's awesome. She's a personal trainer there, and she's done some physique competitions as a woman, and she has put on I think she said she put on like 5 or 7 pounds of lean muscle, and it took her 2 years of
Yep.
consistent training to do
Yep.
that, right? Like for her to put on 7 pounds of lean tissue, and you can notice it. Like when she flexes her muscles, you can see like, oh man, she's added some mass to her arms. Oh man, she's added some breadth to her shoulders, right? But it took her 2 years of consistent, heavy training, eating well, cycling on and off her calories, and she does not do any PEDs as far as I'm aware. She's an all natural, and she's in the natural division when she's competed. But like and that's somebody that has an advanced training age, that knows what they're doing, has multiple certifications, knows how to eat, right? And it took her a long time and
Oh yeah.
she's not a big, and she's strong as hell. She can deadlift like 2.5 times her body weight. She can bench press over her body weight, which for a woman is really strong, right? Like she's
Oh, for
she's
sure.
very, very strong. But she has to work really hard at it and be really diligent and really focused. So it's like this myth
Yeah.
makes me laugh so hard because it's not only is it not true, it's actually the opposite of what is true, which is women, if they want to bulk, they have to focus on it even harder than men do. Like it's comical how much harder they have to work on it than men
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, and that's the other thing though. So I would kind of be somewhat remiss if I didn't bring up that there's actually a lot of better benefits of having women lift really heavy weights, right? So marketing has really sold women out. Marketing has told them lift light, do a ton of cardio, get on treadmills, do dancer size or whatever the hell pink neoprene wrapped dumbbell half pound bullshit they're trying to sell this week in some magazine, right? But the reality of the matter is that kind of doesn't do well for women's health. So as women get sort of perimenopausal and sort of move into the menopausal phase of their life, they really benefit from weight bearing exercise. Really, really, really benefit from it. Especially if they have not seen an onset of osteopenia, or if they're at osteopenia but have not transitioned to osteoporosis. One of the more potent things that women can do is pick up heavy stuff. The gains in bone density, the gains in ligament strength, the gains in tendon flexibility and strength, as well as resiliency. And then as we start moving into it, one of the things that also comes in from just weightlifting in general for everybody, men and women alike, that proprioception and balance that comes from picking up weights is good for fall proofing as you age. So the benefits are so just massive, and even more so in a lot of cases for women. Um, I even train a lot of pregnant women, and the first thing people say, "Oh, you're pregnant. It's a disability. You should just sit all the time." It's like, "Oh, get the hell out of here with that." It's like, it's like she's like, "Yeah, hey, Mike, I'm missing my session tonight. I'm going into labor," because she was like lifting yesterday with me. I was
Yeah,
like, "All right, cool. Send me baby pictures, right?" So yeah,
yeah.
women aren't going to just accidentally get big. In fact, quite the contrary. And the benefits of women lifting are just so undersold. It's not even funny. We've just done such a disservice to lady lifters.
Yeah, and I'll even piggyback that with another condition for younger women that are not menopausal or perimenopausal, but one of the most common conditions right now is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that is usually strongly correlated to insulin sensitivity, and one of the or insulin insensitivity, I should say, and one of the best things you can do for that is have muscle mass, because muscle tissue allows you to take in sugar and have it be stored as glycogen as opposed to having it affect your blood sugar. So the more you can have lean muscle mass on your frame, actually the better it's going to help you manage your blood sugar. And that's for men and women, but you'll see a really strong benefit to women adding in heavy weight training if they're having any pre-diabetes, or if they're having polycystic ovarian syndrome, things like that. You can have a lot of benefit to adding some lean tissue. So this myth is not only wrong, it is actually harmful to a lot of people. So
Yeah. So the channel Adam and Jamie busted.
yeah, we can safely say, do not believe that. Women, pick up your weights and make them not neoprene pink 2-pound dumbbells, right? Make them as heavy as you can reasonably manage safely, and then progressively work your way up and keep building.
Yeah, and full disclosure, so that Jay doesn't kill us, please don't sue us for saying busted.
All right. And last but not least, and it dovetails into what we were just talking about, lifting heavy weights, kettlebells, specifically kettlebells, this inert piece of steel or
Never
iron.
heard of them.
Yeah, never heard of them. Don't build muscle. Kettlebells don't build muscle. Myth number 3. And at this point, I'm just waiting for Joe Daniels to bust in through your back wall.
I'm waiting for like the Hey Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah,
Just like this gigantic swole Joe Daniels to come in here and start throwing stuff and going, "What?"
did you say kettlebells don't build muscle?
Getting into a feud with some forum troll.
Not really Joe's style, but
No, it's not. He's probably more likely to go take a float and flick you the bird. Uh,
he is a good example of disproving this myth, right? Like that kettlebells don't build muscle, but explain why that is from a physiological perspective. Why is it that kettlebells can build muscle if you want them to?
Yeah, so I'm going to put this in the absolute shit simplest terms I possibly can. Load is load. So when you place your muscles under load, they're going to adapt to the load. And if you are progressively overloading those muscles, the body isn't going to necessarily care what the particular implement you're using is, be it a kettlebell, be it a cinder block, being it 27 pet chihuahuas in a laundry bag.
You might have something to say about that overload, but
I, Again, another disclaimer. I have never placed 27 pet chihuahuas in a laundry bag. I'm also not going to acknowledge the fact that there might be 6 toddlers in the other laundry bag.
Mike is doing everything he can to get this show canceled.
Hi, Tommy. I have to say hi to our producer when I do things like this, just otherwise he gets mad at me. But but yeah, I mean that's the reality, right? So as long as you're progressively overloading your muscle, your body isn't going to necessarily care what the implement is. Your muscles are so confused that they actually don't understand the difference between a kettlebell and a cinder block, or again, aforementioned bag of toddlers. So the reality comes down to you're going to get muscles built with kettlebells fine. The biggest thing comes down to is the mode that you're using for the kettlebell training, right? So when people tend to think about kettlebells, and here's where we're going to go piss off the Pavel Bros again, right? It's like, if I could only choose one exercise, it would be kettlebell swings. And I would say, okay, cool. If power and endurance are your primary goal, sure, you're not going to really build muscle. But if I were to go ahead and for me choose a single kettlebell exercise, I would honestly go with squats. Um, a really solid rack squat or a really solid goblet squat. But I'm not talking doing it with like these little 12 and 16 kilo bells that you would use for endurance or long sets. I'm talking go ahead, go to the bottom right corner of the rack with the dust on it that nobody ever goes to in the gym, right? The big, scary, big Gazunta bell, right? And get that big golden bell, right? Get that 40 kilo, get that
It
48
still has
kilo.
blood on
Yeah, exactly. From the last guy that tried this great idea and basically said it was Mike's fault. But yeah, but pick up really heavy shit, right? I mean, I can't put it any simpler than that. Do it safely, obviously, and if you're not sure about how to do it, like find a good coach to teach you.
it. Yeah.
But
We got
but at the
content on Living.Fit to help you.
wait, what? We
Yeah.
certify coaches? I've never heard of such craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the
Coaches,
way,
programs, resources, it's all those things. It's amazing.
yeah, 29th of July, coming on over at Tough Temple. We've got an LF2 class coming up, just saying. Uh,
But I'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to Tough Temple at the end here. Finish your
yeah,
thought, please.
yeah, but anyway, I mean, the whole thing comes down to if you're picking up heavy stuff, your body's going to adapt to the load over time. If you're programmed safely, if you're programmed in a proper and responsible way, and if you're dealing with progressive overload and adequate volume, right? Picking up one time for a single PR lift, probably not going to do it. You're probably not going to build a whole lot of muscle of just doing single reps. Obviously, volume matters. But the reality is, kettlebells are the same as any other weight. Weights build muscle, period.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people conflate the idea of optimal opti optimality, but the optimal, whatever is optimal, right? Confusing what is optimal for what is effective, right? Anything is effective for building muscle if it's appropriately programmed and supported by proper nutrition, right? Um, are kettlebells the best way to add mass if that's your goal? No, no, they're not the best way to do it, right? You're probably going to get better. You're probably going to be able to get better isolation of muscles on certain machines. You're probably going to be able to get heavier load on large movements like bench, squat, deadlift, etc. Right?
Big
However,
dumbbells.
yeah, however, as Mike said, they're just a piece of load, right? And I can tell you, I've been almost exclusively training with kettlebells for the past 10 years. And I came into it being a, 280-ish pound former offensive lineman. And I have vacillated between as low as 225 and as high as 280 again, all on kettlebells. Right. And my muscle mass has not changed significantly over that period of time. And that's due to the fact that I already had a sizable amount of muscle mass. And because it's load and because kettlebell sport requires high volume in general, which is my chosen modality, I tend to keep most of the muscle mass that I have and have for a long period of time. I just did a long cycle session today where I pushed over 8,000 kilos today. Which is a lot of volume by anybody's standards, right? So if you
Oh,
don't
sure.
if you don't think that that's either going to help you build muscle mass or maintain muscle mass, I don't think you understand physiology at the level that you need to make those claims. So I just think this
For
this
sure.
myth just goes against sound science and sound physiology.
Yep, there's definitely something to be said for volume. Along just one quick caveat, right? Because you will get a certain unnamed, please again, don't sue us, group fitness provider that likes to push the fact that if you use, a little teeny skinny black barbell with little teeny skinny 2.5 pound weights and you pump them uh, 8 or 900 reps in 47 minutes to increasing music at about 135 beats per minute with a $400 a year franchise fee, that you will get massive, and they market it as weightlifting. It's not, dude. It's cardio. I mean, you're doing cardio because the load is just simply not enough. Even if you already had add up the total load of kilos that you picked up in that hour, it is still less than me having you do 3 sets of 10 ACSM, old school standard with a big ass barbell with 4 times or 6 or 8 times that weight, right? So at a certain point, there is.
Percentage of maximal load does matter, right? Volume is one measure, intensity is another, and they correlate, right? That's where manipulation of intensity and manipulation of volume are two variables that we as coaches manipulate depending on the goal, right? That's where if your goal is hypertrophy, then you might want your intensity to be higher and your volume to be higher. If your goal is strength endurance, you're going to want your volume to be higher and your intensity to be lower, right? There are different ways of tuning those
Yep.
variables depending on what the adaptation that you're looking for. You took this way more sciencey than I was wanting you to, but I appreciate
Well,
it.
I mean, I'm going to go with okay. Here's a real basic one. If you pick up a 12-kilo kettlebell and you do a two-handed swing, and 12 kilos is about 20% of your one RM, I don't care if you do 200 of those things. The 10,000 swing challenge isn't going to do shit for putting on any muscle on you. I can't put it any simpler than that. It's going to make your hips sore. But if I go ahead and swing you over to something that's a real honest to God, I don't know, 44, 48 kilo bell, and have you just like do 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets of 10 or 12, yeah, your butt's going to look great in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a load variance, right? Because now you're getting more up into that, 70, 80% of your 1 RM, not that like 15, 20% power range of your 1 RM. Or frankly, you shouldn't be doing that incredibly high of a volume anyway. The acute variables when you're dealing with power is, you go explosively until power fades, then you put it down as a stop set, right? It might be 3, 4, 5 reps, right? So it's just that explosiveness. I think it's just people are using them wrong because they're getting their training advice on the internet.
Yeah.
Wait,
I
oh,
agree.
sorry. That's right. We're on the internet right now. My bad.
We're on radio on the internet. I don't know. I don't know how
Is it?
this works. I
It's
work in
retro
tech, but I don't know. I don't know how this works. I don't actually know how any of this works. So
magic powered by hamsters.
you mentioned a thing that you did recently. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes here to self promote a little bit because it's kind of a big deal. You stepped away from your arrangement at a Globo gym. They're better than you, and they know it. Um, but after no diss to your former company, you just decided to go your own direction because
I
you
did.
you have now founded the Tough Temple Kettlebell Club in, is it Bethesda?
It
Where is it?
is. It is indeed.
So tell us
So,
about it. What precipitated that move, and what is the Tough Temple Kettlebell Club?
yeah, so one of the things that you're taking a look at, right? So I've been with Globo gyms for quite some time, and I won't name them out of just respect for they were pretty decent to me for 5 or 6 years. I can't really bitch and moan too much about it, but at the end of the day, one of the things you're looking at when we're dealing with these big box corporate gyms is the emphasis is on box, as in they generally tend to stay within it. And we had worked for probably 6 or 7 months to build up the kettle program there. We had trained about 40 Living.Fit certified instructors. And the intent of that was always to sort of grow the kettlebell sport program and to get it to the point where of the 60, 70 gyms that they own, we could actually start getting teams built in each of the individual gyms that could compete. We were trying to build a league. At a certain point, it just got to the point where corporate got very freaked out by this idea because it was, oh my God, different and new. We sell, these $40 a month mass volume, come on in your ass pants and do cables all day. And then, do, 500 Les Mis body thrash classes a month. That was just sort of the way that they like to do their business. And for them, it worked, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, it was not consistent with the direction that I needed to be going professionally. It was also not consistent with what my lifters wanted. My lifters wanted to get a little more aggressive. They wanted higher end equipment. They wanted a more dedicated studio. They got tired of like having the yoga class people cutting through our area while they're like, trying to do power snatches. And, I used to running joke that if you take a yogi off their feet, 2 free sessions on me. So
Don't threaten me with a good time, Mike. I will
yeah,
tackle it.
I'm telling you, man, we had battle ropes, and this one lady literally was going over a battle rope, but one of my lifters is doing giant slams with this thing, and I'm just sitting there just going, "If you take her out, I will give you a month of free training. I swear to God, please. I just want the video." Um, so I will pull the security cam footage because that shit will be make me YouTube famous right now. But it kind of got to the point where it was just like it was time, right? You know, it's like sometimes it's time, and so I worked with my friend John Weeks, who is a very well known USAW Olympic competition coach. Who was running the Tough Temple CrossFit and Barbell Club just down the road from where I am in Bethesda. He is the largest barbell club in the state of Maryland, or one of the top couple in the state of Maryland. It is a vibrant CrossFit community, a vibrant weightlifting community. Both of those communities compete. And so when I came to him, I said, "Hey, look, let's bring another sport under your roof." And he said, "Yeah, let's do this." So I called our friend Nikolai Puklov at Pro Kettlebell, and I said, "Hey, Nikolai, um, I'm going to need an entire rack full of kettlebells. I'm going to need them in like 21 days." And Nikolai basically said, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit," because his foundry was so backed up at the time because he's like the only American-made competition bell that's out there right
And they
now.
were transitioning foundries at that time, if I
He
remember
was
right.
moving foundries at the time, and so we basically went from probably having 500 or 600 square feet room for about 6 or 8 lifters at a time on turf with, sort of, competition style. I'm not going to name the manufacturer bells. You know which ones I'm talking about, right? 33 millimeter handles, e-coated, chip and shot filled, that sort of thing. They start to rattle after a while. It's kind of great. You get the
Yeah.
every
The
every rep.
trumpet instrument.
Yeah, Tic Tac bells, man, they're the best. And so we went from that to now I'm in about a 1,700 square feet dedicated space, rolled rubber, timers on the wall, 60-inch screens on the wall, a complete set of pro kettlebells, barbells, plates, all the good toys. So we're running GPPs out of there. We're running 3 or 4 sport workouts a week. We're holding our first meet at the new location in September 10th, the Tough Temple Kettlebell Club Open. It'll be dual sanctioned by both IKO and Bolt because I have a soft spot in my heart for Bolt because they really do bring a lot of people into the sport. They really, really, honest to God, do. And we've got lifters signing up for that. The swag shop is up, so you can get some really cool T-shirts. Because I mean, are you? If you didn't have a T-shirt, did you even compete, bro? So did you even kettlebell, bro? You don't have a sticker on your water bottle.
I have two kinds of shirts in my wardrobe. I have black kettlebell T-shirts, and then I have T-shirts I don't wear.
All of mine are either kettlebells or motorcycles. So although I do have one with a picture of a Vespa that says "Do crime," so because scooters make you do crime because at the end of the day, no cop is going to take it seriously.
Yeah, everybody knows Vespas are the real motorcycle gangs. Everybody knows that. So,
dude, I am telling you, I have an LX 150 with 150 cc's of Mighty 12 Mighty Ponies on it. It'll do 70 on 10-inch wheels with all of the performance mods I've been on. It's basically like riding a wheelbarrow on meth. It's pretty fantastic.
prove it, video or it didn't happen.
Video or I can't get convicted.
Well, Mike, thank you very much. Congratulations,
Thanks,
on opening your Tough Temple Kettlebell Club. I'm excited to see it. It's a cool.
I
It's a cool.
didn't I tell you you're competing in September?
I might be able to make that happen.
Hey, man, I'm 50 now. I can go on Legends table and be CMS while sucking.
That's my plan. Age into a higher ranking. Just keep that rate of degradation as low as possible, and just age into a high ranking. That is my strategy. So
yeah, I'm absolutely getting my master of sport through age.
Well, my friend, cheers, and thank you for another fun recording session. Hopefully we get to do it again. We'll see what Tommy has to say after he edits the audio. But thank you, man. We'll
After
catch you.
Jay and Tommy fire us all.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time on the Living Fit show.
Yep, thanks. And remember, if you haven't had a trainer that's helping you along the way, make sure to reach out to your local Living Fit certified coach. And if you are a trainer working as a fitness professional, why don't you expand your skills? Go ahead, take a look at some of our LF certifications. Go to Living.Fit and make sure to click on the courses button.
On that note, we cue the music. Well done, sir. Thank you.